IT enthusiasts. Welcome to another episode of My Computer Careers Get Into IT Live, where we do just that, get into all things IT. Wonderful to be here again. I feel like I've been away for a while. I think it was 3 weeks ago where I gave it a run and somebody hacked into my computer, took it over and closed out the whole thing. So it's very nice to be back. Russ, we can talk about that later. My other a very, very hot mess. But anyway, I'm really happy to be back. Glad to be here again to see everybody. As always, we have Patricia in the comment area, and we encourage everyone to jump in, ask questions, participate. It's the best part about this little show that we do, which we've been doing for almost 120 episodes now. Wow. So this little thing is gaining some momentum, and we have a lot of fun with it. All right. It's your lunch hour. It's everyone's lunch hour. It's on a Friday, so we will move through this quickly, but let's have a little bit of fun as we always do. So I will properly introduce our guest here in just a minute, but one of our repeated topics in this broadcast is discussing exactly what's happening in IT. We try to jump into news, kind of what we've seen, to keep everyone updated on the latest and greatest. The timing of this was perfect. Because our guy and our regular here on Get Into IT, Russ Munisteri, recently contributed 2 separate articles that landed in IT trade publications. The first article was around why educational institutions are particularly vulnerable to cyber attacks and how to protect yourself. And that was in Cybersecurity Insiders. And the other one was titled Cybersecurity 750,000 Job Openings. Who can transition and how? And both of those ran in the last couple of weeks. So we are joined by our buddy Russ. Before I give all of your title and everything else, great to see you again, my man. Thank
you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Your setup's great. We were just talking about that ahead of time. It sounds good. It looks good.
Thank you very much.
We're pure HD, whether that's good or bad. Here we are. All right. Russ Munisteri, CISSP, is an IT pro, speaker, trainer, and program chair and lead instructor in My Computer Career. This is not his first day. He has his own website. He goes out and speaks in the community around cybersecurity. It is his passion. And he has a lot of little letters behind his name and certifications to show it. So we're really glad to have you here to chat through this, Russ. Why don't we jump right in?
Perfect.
All right. Let's start with the educational institutions article. We'll bounce around. By the way, everyone, before we jump in, Russ and I had and Patricia had kind of a fantastic chat ahead of this about the air traffic control FAA situation that they're now using floppy disks, or they're trying to migrate away from using floppy disks and Windows 95 for their systems. They're still using those. So if you haven't seen that article, go check it out. Russ is going to comment on it a little more next week, and we'll have something to share, but unbelievably fascinating stuff that they're still using that.
It's crazy stuff out there.
Crazy. All right. The first article, educational institutions article. Russ, you mentioned that institutions of education saw a 35% increase in cyber attacks between 23 and 24. What makes schools such attractive targets for the bad guys?
Yeah, cyber criminals, they love education because educational institutions, they do store large amounts of sensitive data, which equates to money, right? Social security numbers, credit card numbers, a lot of demographic information. And many schools, they tend to rely on outdated infrastructure, right? And, because a lot of times school institutions, they will focus on other expenditures over cybersecurity, right? So again, this will open the eyes to to a cyber criminal as far as, what they're going to go for, right? And schools tend to have legacy systems, right? And patching is a problem because it's often delayed. And, again, that's going to leave vulnerabilities, that attackers can easily exploit, right?
Sure.
School universities, they often lack strong cybersecurity policies. And a lot of it comes down to policies. The stronger, the stronger your policies are, the better outcomes that you hopefully will get, right? So again, lack of these strong policies, right? it just makes it easier for the hackers to really get onto those networks.
And, those legacy systems, I'm assuming, exist because they're expensive to replace. They require man hours to replace. And when it comes down to it, at a university that's running fast, that's sometimes the last thing that folks think about. Yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Money is it's a huge factor.
Sure.
Yeah. And schools and then universities, again, it's a business, right?
Yeah.
Spending money on the infrastructure, that's not bringing in money. That's, IT is always an expense.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. You've discussed how AI is making phishing emails more sophisticated. How are these attacks different from what we just saw a few years ago? I guess the question is, that's a long way of saying, how have phishing emails evolved? Because of AI.
Artificial intelligence now is everything, right?
Right.
Everything that we hear, AI this, AI that. But when it comes to, phishing attacks, AI, it's all about natural language. It's all about natural language, and there's more of it now. So AI-driven, phishing emails, they can now mimic human writing styles, which is going to eliminate all those red flags, like the awkward grammar that we used to see, the spelling errors, right? So again, because of natural language and there's just so much of it, a lot of these emails now, they really do seem very, very realistic. Now, artificial, AI also throws on all that personalization, right? So attackers, they can use AI to really craft emails that are tailored to, specific individuals, right?
Yeah.
Which again, it'll incorporate, stuff that's available publicly, and really make those messages really seem very legit, right? And again, there's a lot of automation now involved when it comes to AI, right? So, AI enables those cyber criminals to generate thousands of unique phishing emails all at once, right?
One after the other.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy out there. But it's not just about email, Aaron. It's also about voice-to-voice communication as well, right? AI-powered voice cloning, right? This allows attackers to really, they can imitate trusted contacts, right? Making fraudulent phone calls, or even leaving voicemails that sound so deceptive out there. It's crazy,
I got to tell you, now more than ever, Russ, I am
Yeah.
leery of answering the phone of any number I don't know for that reason, because they're trying to get your voice, or even if they're not, that's what's in my brain because of all this technology.
Yeah, Aaron, it's funny that you mentioned that. So the cyber criminals, when it comes to these types of attacks, and it's called voice phishing, or it's called a phishing attack with the V, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, what the cyber criminals are doing, the whole point of it is to catch you off guard, is really to prevent the person receiving the phone call to not think, right? Just to act. So my mother received a phishing phone call, and she called me last week about this. She received it during the night at about 2:00 in the morning, and the phone woke her up, and it was a cyber attacker basically saying that that a family member is in jail, and to please call this number for more information. She was smart enough just to hang up the phone, but they called back.
Aye.
And they spoofed the phone numbers as well. But again, she's like, Russ, because of you and all the things that you tell me, I just hung up. But somebody might not do that. They might panic and start, giving out information just to calm the nerves. So
it is a scary kind of world if you don't know what you're up against.
Yeah.
By the way, Rick, we see you out there. Thanks for joining again. Derek, thanks for joining. Quick comment there's Rick. Yep. Quick comment from David in the comments. criminals tend to exploit low-hanging fruit, focusing on systems that are equally accessible and lack adequate security protections, which is exactly what you discussed kind of in our first. So yeah, David, great point. Yeah. All right, you mentioned vishing. What about smishing? It was in the article as well. What's smishing?
Right. So again, smishing. This is phishing over text messaging, and this relies on those fake text messages, and they usually have some type of strange link in there, and that link is going to be malicious. So again, victims who click these links may unknowingly install malware or be redirected to some fake login pages, and those are probably designed to steal some type of information from you. Logins, passwords, whatever like that. But
yeah,
smishing, vishing. Okay, again, these types of attacks, they are exploiting the human trust, and they all fall under social engineering. And the only true way around these types of attack is education. So proper education, whether it's your staff or students, just about recognizing those suspicious messages and verifying any unexpected communication before responding. Always call the main source. Always go to the main source. Just don't respond to those messages.
Such an excellent point. So we have smishing, which is text messaging, vishing, which is voicemails. The ways we communicate are being attacked, folks. Be smart.
Oh, yeah.
Get educated. It's sage advice. It truly is.
Cyber attackers will always go where the noise is. And right now the noise is over text messaging. Huge. Okay.
So the NIST cyber framework, we always kind of go back to NIST, or for some reason we go back to NIST because, they lay out the framework. Okay. What role does it play in protecting educational institutions, and why is that framework important?
Okay. So the NIST cybersecurity framework, that plays such an important role with cyber best practice. This document, or all the documents, right, that fall into cybersecurity, it provides such a structured approach to identifying, preventing, detecting, responding to, and recovering from cyber threats, right? NIST docs, they keep institutions, companies, they really keep you in check when it comes to risk management, continuous improvement, perhaps, right? Clear communication, and always with compliance. And the best part about NIST, Aaron, these documents are free. There are other frameworks out there where organizations have to pay a lot of money for it. These are free documents from our federal government. And believe it or not, a lot of the cybersecurity certifications, a lot of them are based around information coming from NIST documentation.
Got it. So this is, Mr. IT pro at a higher ed place that needs some guidance. This is where you go to get that framework. You go to NIST, you get it for free, you move forward accordingly.
Oh yeah. That's
okay.
Great stuff.
All right. You emphasize, and I love this point, you've talked about it before, Russ, when you joined us. Simple, clear documentation at a 5th grade level. Can you share an example of how this helps during an incident and why it's so important?
Yeah, it is very, very important to have your business continuity plans, disaster recovery plans written. And I always say, write it at a 5th grade level, because when stuff happens, right, and it's going to happen, it's not if, it's going to be a when. You want to keep the waters calm. You want to keep that panic level down. I've been there. Trust me, I can tell you I have been there before. Okay. And you want to go to documentation that is easily laid out. So clear, simple documentation is so invaluable during a cybersecurity incident, because it makes sure that everyone, regardless of a technical expertise or not, it doesn't matter. Everyone involved can follow the emergency procedures effectively. That is what you want. So for an example, let me give you an example. Okay? Ransomware attack. We all love ransomware. So let's just say, that your company is subjected to a ransom attack, and it locks access to to whatever systems, right? The staff is going to need quick instructions on how to disconnect the infected devices, notify IT teams or stakeholders, and avoid further spread. So again, a 5th grade level guide is there to lay it out for you. So clear is the key when it comes to any type of a major negative impact on your environment.
So this is not the time to show off your vocabulary, your IT knowledge. Okay.
No, it is not the time to start rambling off IT jargon. This is not the time for that. Nope.
Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit then. It flows naturally into kind of what you discussed when it comes to remote learning. Right. It's more popular than ever. I'm assuming that it presents an opportunity for the bad guys. How has endpoint protection evolved to meet that challenge?
That's a great question. And, when I think about endpoint protection and cyber resiliency and all of that stuff, cloud-based security solutions, they really enable institutions or companies to secure devices regardless of location, right? Ensuring that you have consistent protection for those remote students or for staff. So cloud is big. And there's something as a service everywhere out there, right? You just have to vet it out and see what's the best one for you. Zero trust models, huge. Zero trust models, right? You want to require continuous verification of devices and users and the user identities, and this will help to reduce unauthorized access. Very, very important. I was also thinking about this one, endpoint detection and response, having a strong EDR solution, right? Again, what is that going to provide us? Advanced monitoring. Why? That's going to allow IT teams to proactively, that's the key word, proactively stop any type of cyber threat before it escalates. And that's the one thing that I always stress on when I teach students when it comes to IT. Don't be reactive. Try to be proactive the best you can, okay? Because, again, you're always looking for problems, and you want that. You don't want to wait for the problems to come to you because, let's face it, 9 out of 10 times, the solution that you think is going to work, it probably won't in that particular situation, right?
Yeah.
So, automated patch management, I think, is important too, because that'll keep some of those remote devices updated. Okay. And of course, when dealing with mobile devices, anytime, that I mention mobile devices, I'm sure folks think about phones the entire time. Okay. Mobile device phone. Now, a mobile device is basically anything with Wi-Fi. So you want to be able to manage those laptops, tablets, phones, and all that stuff with a really good mobile device management solution. Okay. Have strong policies that will allow your company or your institutions to enforce security controls on personal and job-related issue devices. Okay, that's very important. Compliance here is huge. Okay, and of course, best practice.
Again, it makes me scratch my head. It's fascinating to me because technology is always going to advance. As technology advances, so are the bad guys. Cyber criminals are going to advance what they do. As a matter of fact, they seem to be sometimes ahead of the curve, which means that folks like you need to be at the exact same level as these bad guys, or trying to stay ahead of them. So we're in this constant tug of war. So it's fascinating to me that, folks talk about the IT industry. There's always going to be a need for people like you, Russ. There's always going to be a need for smart people to go in and protect things.
Thank you. If somebody really wants to be proactive, you have to think like an attacker. So going for those certifications like CompTIA's cybersecurity analysis, that's a good one. And their Security X, which is, I think, was formerly CASP. Those are good certifications because they really get you to think in a proactive way. It changes your entire mindset. If you think like an attacker, you will be on the same page as one. So then you'll know what to do.
Love it. Great advice. All right. folks, go check out that article. It's in Cybersecurity Insiders. There's more there. It's a really fun read. It's only a few minutes. Go check it out. All right. So speaking of careers, I think it's a good place to jump into this next article. The career transition article that you contributed to in Tech Chronicler.
Right.
You mentioned IT support personnel having strong potential for cybersecurity roles. And essentially the crux of Russ's participation in the article is, if you've been maybe laid off from an IT role, how can you transition into cybersecurity? So so again, IT support personnel having strong potential for cybersecurity roles. What specific skills make this transition natural?
Well, Aaron, there are a lot of skills out there. There are. I mean, a lot of companies ask for different types of experience, expertise. But, on my list, troubleshooting, I think, is huge. So troubleshooting expertise, this helps in diagnosing a lot of those security incidents and a lot of those system vulnerabilities. So troubleshooting is huge, because the likelihood of you walking into a company and building a network from scratch is kind of small. So you're going to be walking into an existing situation. So you have to know how to properly troubleshoot once you learn that company's network. So that's big, right? Of course, knowledge of operating systems. Are they running Windows? Are they running Linux? Are they running Mac? Is it a hybrid environment? So you have to know a lot of these operating systems out there. Okay, that's huge. Now, user access management, okay, because you need to be able to work identity and access control. Who has privilege to what, when, and why? So knowing how to properly manage identity and access management is huge, because again, if somebody in the company has too much privilege for something, that's a vulnerability that's just waiting to be exploited. And that all ties down to the whole principle of least privilege. Only apply the permissions that someone, either a person, a system, or whatever it is, device, they have the right amount of permission to do the job. Nothing more, nothing less. Everything surrounds the principle of least privilege. If you lock that down, especially with identity and access management, you are good to go.
So. Okay? Folks, I passed that question. It was in the other article. So if you want to learn a little bit more about least privilege, Russ does chat about that as well in the Cybersecurity Insiders article. So it's a good one. All right. So that's IT support personnel. Russ, for those in system admin roles, what aspects of their work align with cybersecurity principles?
Perfect question, because I was a systems administrator. I was for a long time.
Very nice.
And just like I mentioned in your prior question, access control management, huge. That's the first thing. I was always working that. Okay, always working that. Patch management is huge when it comes to the service. Now, the problem with patch management, especially in the Windows world, because Windows has a good portion of the market, right? About time that you roll out patches to your production environment, it might be too late.
Yeah.
Because it does take time, because when Microsoft rolls out patches, you are not going to apply patches that were just released that day to your production environment. No one's doing that. No management team is going to allow that. You have to test and then test and verify. 4 to 5 weeks can actually pass by before that production environment gets yesterday's patches. So patch management is very important, and again, it'll help prevent a lot of those vulnerabilities, again, by keeping software and the operating systems updated. It's not just, you got to remember, it's not just operating system error. You got to think about all those mobile devices, the phones and all that stuff too.
Right.
Okay. So that's big. Network monitoring. Okay. In the configuration, right? This provides that the foundation for detecting and the mitigating a lot of the security threats. So again, network monitoring is huge. You have to know how to do that and the right tools to use. Incident response handling. How are you going to handle that, right? Identifying and addressing those system failures, right? So again, those skills, they can translate directly to cybersecurity. They can, okay? Backup disaster recovery plans, Aaron, huge. when it comes to cybersecurity. And of course, user education, security awareness, again, to help reduce those phishing and those social engineering attacks, okay, among other skills as well. But I think those are some of the top ones that I would definitely focus on.
And it's such great advice if you're that person that's sitting there wondering, what do I have? How can I translate this over into cyber? You just heard 3 minutes on how you can do that. Go back, watch this again. Certainly something to pay attention to. Also something to pay attention to. Again, when you come on this program, we've discussed several times hands-on experience and the importance of hands-on in tech, in IT, and in cyber.
Right.
What types of projects would you recommend for someone starting out? Hands-on projects.
Okay, so there are a few things here that the one can do. First of all, if you have the resources at home, you can build a home virtual lab. You can do that. I mean, I have a mini one here. Again, set up a virtualized environment. You can use VirtualBox, a VMware, Hyper-V. You can use those tools to build out an entire virtual platform there. Okay.
Great idea.
And there you can practice pen testing. You can practice system hardening, incident response. You can play around with Active Directory and all of that stuff, as well as if you attend a school like a My Computer Career, you have access to the labs. Okay. And that's huge. I've spoken to people that have participated in something called Capture the Flag, right? Again, these are platforms like Hack the Box or Try Hack Me. Again, these offer those security exercises that teach ethical hacking, and it's a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
You can play around with firewall rules, and of course, SIEM systems. Again, practice setting up, security monitoring tools like Splunk or ELK Stack, right? Again, just to understand some of the log analysis, stuff like that. And Aaron, I say that because if you go for your CYSA Plus certification exam, there are questions on there that you have to analyze log files and to see what's going on. So again, that is some good stuff there. Okay. You could even set up, if you really wanted to, phishing awareness campaigns. You can practice that. I see a lot of job applications, not job applications, job descriptions out there that mention phishing awareness campaigns, how to set them up, and stuff like that. So again, this just gives you a separate area to learn social engineering tactics and to also design educational programs to improve that cybersecurity awareness in organizations. So there's a lot that can be done.
If you want to be in cyber, go get in cyber. Go jump in before you get a role. It's what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah.
Go do things on your own. Get that experience and then show your worth. It sounds easy. It certainly is not, but go do it. If you're passionate about something, go do it.
It takes a little effort, but when you get in front of a hiring team, right, you can talk intelligently about what you have been doing. And again, if you're interviewing with the company, Aaron, right, and if the hiring team, listen, if they're smart, right, they will hire you based on work ethics over knowing every single punch item on their job description. You can always learn that stuff. So the soft skills are just as important as those technical skills.
Glad you brought it up. I didn't even think about it. Of course, that makes a lot of sense. All right. So we are coming up on 30 minutes, and I'll be perfectly honest. I am in the red. Apparently, this new setup I have took all of my energy. So why don't we end it with this last question? Russ, we'll skip ahead a couple here. Your article, and again, it's in Tech Chronicler. It features a lot of voices. It features Russ. It also features our career service specialist, Jacob, talking or providing some advice on how to network and transition into cyber. Your article mentions continuous learning. And I want to highlight that because, again, it's a theme that comes up on Get Into IT Live a lot. What are some effective ways to stay current with emerging trends?
Great question. there are so many avenues that you can go down. But again, industry news, I think, is huge. Okay, regularly reading cybersecurity publications like Krebs on security. I had to get that one out.
Yeah,
Dark reading, cybersecurity insiders, stuff like that. It just keeps you in the know about what's going on with the cybersecurity, as well as podcasts. Please don't forget about podcasts, because there are cybersecurity podcasts that will just go down all the headlines for the day, just so you know what's going on. And if there's something there that you like, you can, you could do additional research. I mentioned platforms like Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, stuff like that, Capture the Flag. Cybersecurity communities are big. I have one. I have a Facebook group, Cybersecurity Lounge.
Yes.
Okay. If you really want to get involved with cybersecurity, you have to join some of these communities. So again, LinkedIn groups, Discord channels, Reddit's big. Facebook's got some groups out there. Okay. So again, you can go for that. Of course, Aaron, cybersecurity certifications, huge.
Yep.
Right? Security Plus and beyond, right? Conferences, webinars, giant out there, because they talk about a lot. I mean, they talk about a lot of interesting things that you may not hear out there. So again, attend the conference if you can, right? Follow some of the experts out there, right? On a YouTube, Twitter, stuff like that, X, or whatever they call it, right? Follow some of the experts out there, and again, try to find some open source threat intelligence feeds. That'll help you out as well. And just do some research on your own on a topic that truly drives passion. Because if you are talking about it more and more, you are going to attract more people to your circle of trust.
Never stop learning, people. Get involved, dig in, jump into the industry. I'm sorry I'm getting blown up so much over here. I forgot to turn those notifications off. We'll get there, folks. We'll get there. Bear with me. But it's a very big deal, and it's very important. Again, if you're passionate about something, go learn, go get involved, show your worth, and you will get there. These are common themes for a reason. And I'm so glad, Russ, that you were able to join us to rehash some of this. The articles are great. Go check them out. We're going to have another one next week. Speaking of IT news, the air traffic control thing that Russ and I were just talking about ahead of this, and I mentioned, that came out of our team finding the latest news, sending a note to Russ and saying, hey, what do you think? And he provided some great comments. So pay attention, keep your eye on what's happening. And it's unreal. It's really unbelievable how much that's going to help you in your career. All right, Russ, that was fantastic. We missed anything big?
I think we're good. I think we are good. That
was great. It was a great chat. Your website. What's your website?
Yourcybersecurity.com. Cybersecurity.com. And you can see what I'm up to, some of my goals, certifications, all that good stuff. So yeah, check me out there.
Go check them out, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, especially on your Fridays heading into the weekend. Patricia just shared Russ's website. Go check that out as well.
Oh, thank you.
And as always, Russ, I appreciate it. And you'll be back. We'll have you back, of course.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you.
Folks, next week, same time, same place, we are going to talk about military transition, and we are going to have an expert join us and kind of go through that a little bit. So if that got your attention, jump in, and we'll see you at noon next Friday. Otherwise, have a fantastic weekend, and I can't wait to do it again next week with all of you. We'll see you. All right.